Let's get it. 580 Sports Talk is live and direct on a Tuesday and the final episode of 580 Sports Talk before Christmas. We're off tomorrow and Thursday. So we're glad you're here with us today for the next 3 hours here on the Sports Voice of Kansas. 580 WIBW FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com. And on our video channels on YouTube at 580 Sports Talk and on Facebook at WIBW News. So glad you're along. My name is Dan Lucero. I'll be here for the duration today. Brendan Dworzinski will be along in a bit. Spencer Dupuis is on vacation. One last show before we take a short break. Then we'll be back on Friday. Recap that Chiefs game, such as it is or such as it's going to be. Do a little year in review show, finish up What Is Wrong With You Tournament of Champions. We'll have fun on a Friday. I know y'all won't be working. I gotta be the only person in America working. It'll be me and Greg Akagi. We'll be the only people in America working on Friday. But we'll be on Friday from 3 to 6. Then we'll take the rest of the year off. We're gonna knock off for the rest of the year because there's only 3 work days after that. We'll be back January 2nd to start 2026 with you on the program. So this is the penultimate show, one of my favorite words, the next to last, the penultimate show of 2025. So really glad you're spending your time on this Tuesday with us here on 580 Sports Talk. Plenty to talk about on the show today. Got 2 great guests to bring you. We're excited about that on the show. Some day after thoughts. The high of yesterday's announcement that the Kansas City Chiefs will be moving to the state of Kansas and building a $3 billion sports palace in Wyandotte County to open in 2031. There were a lot of places our brains and our mouths went yesterday when discussing the news. Now that we've had a day to sober up a little bit following the hangover, a couple of thoughts that I have about the move. Essentially, why I have a little less problem of a problem with the financials than I normally would, because I am of the belief and remain of the belief that billionaires ought to buy their own stadiums and not ask us for a little help. And I understand that the rejoinder is a stadium is a public good, and the state, the area in which the stadium is built, can benefit financially from the existence of the stadium. And yeah, that's true. Never to the extent that they tell you you're going to benefit, but there is a little truth to it. And this is a little bit different than your typical new stadium is built in new place situation, in such a way that I'm a little bit less of a downer about, I guess is the way I could put it. Because I don't intend to take away from how cool it is that the Chiefs are going to play in Kansas, but I also do think that public funds are best spent on things everybody in the public benefits from, and not just those of us who are Kansas City Chiefs fans, those of us who are sports fans, sports event attendees. You can fix the roads, right? You can pay the teachers a little bit more money. There are things that public money, plant some trees, build some parks. You can always argue there are better uses of public funds, but these are public funds, and this is how they have been used, and people are happy about it. I mean, there are people that are mad when you spend money on the schools because, well, I don't have any kids. They're not going. I'm not sending any kids to the schools. What do I care about funding the schools? So you're never going to make everybody happy. But just some thoughts on the process of it. And one big thought, I don't know how you all are going to feel about this opinion that I have, but I'm going to flesh it out a little bit later on this hour. I forget if they asked Clark Hunt or Mark Donovan or both about incorporating Arrowhead in the name of the new stadium. They should absolutely 100% not do that. Under no circumstances should they incorporate the name Arrowhead into the new stadium. And I will explain why I feel that way. Plus, are the Royals next? Because Jackson County or Clay County or really the state of Missouri, they can't afford to fumble two teams over to the Kansas side of the state line, can they? They can't do. They can't possibly, right? They can't screw another one up, can they? We'll get into that a little bit as well. And why I think it makes more sense still for the downtown ballpark to be the ultimate destination for the Kansas City Royals. And I don't mean like downtown Atchison. I mean downtown KCMO. But we'll get into that a little bit later on in the program today. I mentioned we have two great guests on the show. Michael Swain of Fog.net, part of the 24/7 Sports Network, will join us. We'll talk about KU's win over Davidson last night. Maybe you missed that. You were doing some last-minute Christmas wrapping or Christmas shopping if you've really left it late. And Darren Peterson again did not play. And afterwards, Bill Self admitted that Darren Peterson's family has a say in whether or not their son plays right now through this injury and through these issues that he's dealing with physically. So we're going to get Michael Swain's thoughts on that, the transfer portal, and a whole lot more when he joins us at the bottom of the 4 o'clock hour for Jayhawk Weekly. Also, 5:25 today, Mitch Holthus, the voice of the Chiefs. Consider it an early Christmas present. Our weekly chat with the voice of the Chiefs moved up to today because A, we're not on the air Thursday, and B, the Chiefs play Thursday. So Mitch will join us a couple days earlier than usual. A courtesy, again, of our friends at Hy-Vee and Azure Credit Union. And we'll get Mitch's thoughts, certainly on the announcement that the Chiefs will be coming to the Kansas side of the state line, but also a look ahead to Christmas night at Arrowhead, final home game of the season, and one of what we now know a finite number of games left at Arrowhead Stadium for the Kansas City Chiefs against the Denver Broncos. That one's on Amazon Prime. Remember last year it was on Netflix. Netflix keeps the daytime doubleheader on Christmas, but it's a Thursday night game. Amazon Prime still gets Thursday night. So Denver and the Chiefs on Amazon Prime Thursday night. If you'd rather not stream it or try to make your grandma's Roku work, you're at grandma's house and she's got a Roku TV but doesn't know how it works and not signed up for anything and you can't get to a TV feed, we got you, of course, right here on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW and FM 104.9 with the Chiefs Radio Network broadcast starting at 6 o'clock before the 7:15 kickoff. Plus today on the show, the quarterfinals of the What Is Wrong With You Tournament of Champions. We went from 12 monthly champions down to 8 with 4 first-round eliminations yesterday. So the 4 winners from yesterday will now meet the 4 stories that were granted buys into the quarterfinals. We will get down to the semifinals today, and then we will have the semifinals and the finals on the Friday edition, the final show of 2025 here on 580 Sports Talk. Want to hear from you throughout the program today? Get at us on the text line, 785-272-9429, 785-272-9429. Can also comment in the live chat on the YouTube stream. If you are watching us live on YouTube, 580 Sports Talk, the name of the channel. Welcome our new subscribers. Would love to have you subscribe today to the YouTube channel over at 580 Sports Talk. If you've not done so, call it your Christmas present to us, the 580 Sports Talk crew, smashing that subscribe button if you have not done so. If you are watching the show live on the YouTube channel, hop in that live chat, say hello, interact with your hosts, interact with your fellow listeners, and grow the 580 Sports Talk community. See who we see in the chat today. See Ryan in the chat. Good to see you. First one in today. Mark H. is in. Tyler and the Jayhawker on the chat today as well. Appreciate you guys being along. Look forward to hearing more from you and from the rest of you on the live chat today. Also, if you're watching the video today, you get to see me wearing a Santa hat. I tried to do this last year in our last show before Christmas. The video wouldn't work. It's the only time that we've been doing our streaming provider. It's a service called StreamYard. And it's the only time ever we just simply could not get the camera and the video and the audio to work for a day on the YouTube stream. Just couldn't get it to work. So you were deprived of seeing me in the Santa hat last year. You get to see it this year. Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas. My son loves this hat, by the way, and saw me wearing it this morning around the house. And previously, he had only gotten the 2 hose down when seeing any kind of Santa Claus anywhere. He'd point to the Santa on TV or in our living room or on an ornament and go, ho, ho. That's all he had. He's 18 months old, right? That's all he had was the 2. Now, this morning, saw me in the Santa hat, and I got the 3rd one. He got ho, ho, ho. And now he's got it down. Now he's got, he knows that Santa goes ho, ho, ho. All 3 of them right there in a row. So that was a cool thing that happened this morning. Anyway, let's get into the show, shall we? Some day after thoughts on the Chiefs' new stadium. And I think the first thing to acknowledge today is that there are levels to this beyond, well, the Chiefs are getting a cool-looking new stadium. It just happens to be on the Kansas side of Kansas City now. Because there are going to be some real and understandable hard feelings about this. And I don't mean the performative ones that we've seen from Missouri legislators, like the state legislator from Springfield who's like, yeah, enjoy all those B-roll shots of Wyandotte County on the national broadcast. Wyandotte County's like, yeah, we will. We got stuff going on here too. What do you care, lady from Springfield? Get over yourself. You had a chance to vote for this. You didn't get it done. So I'm not talking about the performative outrage or the jokers who went to the University of Missouri and are like, well, Norm Stewart said he never spent a dime in Kansas, and I won't either. So the Chiefs are dead to me. Get over it. Norm Stewart will be dead in 2031. He won't care. I promise. You give up on doing something you enjoy just because it's on the other side of the state line. Get over yourself a little bit. Don't be ridiculous. Norm Stewart doesn't even know who you are. Okay? It ain't that. Maybe it is. Maybe it is that serious. I ain't go to Mizzou or KU. Maybe it is that serious. I don't think it's that serious. There have been a lot of Jayhawks tailgating at Arrowhead for a lot of years. A lot. Maybe they give the Welcome Missouri sign the finger on the way in. And that's not for me to judge. But get over yourself. I'm not talking about like the performative hard feelings on this, but I do think there's a little bit of rawness to the idea of we're losing Arrowhead Stadium and the new place won't be in Kansas City. I know the old place wasn't technically in the boundaries of Kansas City, but look, you're proud of where you're from, right? Everybody's from somewhere. I'm proud of where I'm from. And you know, I tell people I'm from a suburb of Denver, Colorado, so I can claim Denver as my hometown. That's the Denver area is where I grew up. Just like there are a lot of people who are from Overland Park or Leawood or Blue Springs or Belton, and they claim Kansas City because they're part of that Kansas City area. But that's different than being from Kansas City, Missouri, and your team is leaving. And even though they're not going far, they're still leaving. That hurts. That does. I think that's genuine. I think there's a distinction to be made between the true sons out there, the true son Twitter or true son X, as it's known now, overreacting to try and score some likes and some retweets, and the legislators who are trying to put on a brave face, knowing that "lost to the Chiefs" is going to be one of the lines on their political obituaries someday. And the people who are from Kansas City and grew up going to games at Arrowhead Stadium and grew up knowing that team and that stadium were in your hometown. It was yours in a way that was different than it is for people from even Kansas City, Kansas. And now it's not. And that does. Like, I think that is worth acknowledging. And I do think that the kingdom, such as it is, the Chiefs kingdom, isn't going to be quite the same after Arrowhead is reduced to rubble and the blue state flag of Kansas flies outside the new digs. It'll be different. Not worse, just different. That's true. So that's worth acknowledging. And I also think it is worth acknowledging that the people who are upset that taxpayer dollars are going to subsidize 60% of the construction of the new stadium and the team's new training facility in Olathe have a point. The Hunts have the money to build their own stadium wherever they please. They want to build it in Wyandotte County? Great. You pay for it. I understand and appreciate that attitude. In a lot of instances, I might be standing right alongside those same people. Here's why I feel a little bit differently about it. And it all comes down to, and this is where we get a little wonky here, and it starts being a little bit less about sports and a little bit more about like government policy here. But we've all heard what star bonds are. And I think a lot of us who are big sports fans that maybe don't concern themselves too much with the state government maybe didn't know what star bonds were, what their purpose was, or how they functioned. But star bonds are going to be responsible for the 60% of this project, which is about $2.4 billion, according to Lieutenant Governor David Toland. There are a lot of star bond projects out there. West Village in Wyandotte County, where all that stuff is built. That's going to be adjacent to the new Chiefs Stadium. Those are star bond projects. The West Village is probably the exemplary star bond project because star bond projects are not, this is not money that the state is taking. These are not bonds that are, oh, well, we were going to put this towards schools, or we were going to put this towards fixing the roads, or we were going to put this towards mental health resources for vets, or whatever your pet policy is. We're going to take that money and instead we're going to build the Chiefs Stadium. No, all these star bonds are for the express development of tourism and economic development projects in the state. That's what these are for. And the way it'll function is essentially the state of Kansas is going to draw a boundary around the Chiefs' new stadium and the new facility in Olathe. And sales taxes that are already in place, these aren't new taxes, sales taxes that are in place are going to be used to pay off the debt incurred. They're going to be used to pay off the bonds. Now, is it going to be a long, long, long time before $2.4 billion worth of tax income is collected from those places? Yeah, probably. It's probably not going to get paid off in my lifetime. Maybe not yours either. But there have been a few of those star bonds that eventually did get paid back, including the West Village project. And I think there is a degree of difference between the voters choosing whether or not a new tax will help build a stadium and the state choosing what previously collected and agreed upon taxes will be used to purchase. If the state feels like this is a worthwhile purchase, we'll make our money back on this. One, they're exaggerating how quickly that's going to happen because every state does. But B, I do feel like that's different than 51 or 50.1% of Kansans voted to be taxed more for a stadium, while the other 49.9% said, you know, I'd rather not pay more taxes, or I'd rather my tax dollars go to other projects. It's a little different. And I also think, again, the economic benefits of the new stadium are going to be overstated at every turn. That's just the way this works. Nobel Prize winning economists have pointed this out. So don't take it from me, notably not an economist, notably without a degree in economics, but the work of people who've won the Nobel Prize in such things will tell you that the economic benefits of new sports stadiums are almost always overblown. And one of the reasons for that, to make it real simple, so if you say, okay, this new stadium in Wyandotte County is going to be a revenue generator. Well, okay, yeah, people from Kansas are going to spend money at the new Chiefs Stadium. They are. But they were already spending their entertainment dollar in Kansas, more than likely. They were just spending it on other things. So that's the same entertainment dollars just routed to something else. So there's not necessarily an increase in entertainment dollars spent. It's just a refocus of the entertainment dollar. Here's again where this is different. For a lot of Kansans, it is a refocus of their entertainment dollar, because if they were going to Chiefs games, they were spending all that money on the other side of the state line. And now that money stays in Kansas. And now the money from Missouri and Nebraska and Oklahoma and Iowa or anywhere else there are Chiefs fans who travel to a game on a Sunday or a Monday or a Thursday, that money now comes to Kansas. So the economic benefits of the new stadium being overstated is one thing. That doesn't mean they don't exist. It doesn't mean they aren't there isn't any at all. And then you have what we talked about yesterday, the thing that can't be quantified, the thing you can't pay for or pay back, which is the feeling of civic pride, of state pride for this state of just shy of 3 million people to now be home to the Chiefs, which have become, again, after being once for a time and then receding into kind of a background character in NFL history for the better part of the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, and 2010s, a franchise that has become a model, an exemplar, what you would call a Tiffany franchise in the NFL. It's up there with the Steelers and the Cowboys and the Packers in terms of brand recognition and respect. You can argue about the respect issue part of it with the Cowboys these days, but you understand what I mean. The Chiefs have that kind of Q rating, if you will, and they're going to call Kansas home. Their stadium is going to be in Kansas. Most people, I won't say most people, there are a lot of people that assume that was already the case, right? For a lot of years. Now it really is. Now, the next draft pick isn't going to be confused like Travis Kelce was when he got a phone call on draft day from a Missouri area code and thought he was going to be a Ram. No, you're going to be a call from a Kansas area code. And you'll know right away, I'm going to be a Chief. The biggest thing, though, that this project has to get right, it's not just the stadiums. It's the development around the stadium, because they've almost got to build like Chiefs City, USA, for this to really work as the kind of destination for not only Chiefs games, but for a Super Bowl, for Final Fours, plural. They'll have to build the hotels, multiple hotels, tall ones, nice ones. They've got to be built before the stadium gets done, because otherwise, you know where the teams are staying, and you know where reporters are staying, you know where you're visiting media, visiting fans, you know where they're staying? In Missouri. And then you lose some of that economic benefit. So it can't just be, oh, we're going to build like one really tall Marriott and we'll throw a bunch of like Steak and Shake and type restaurants and a Taylor Swift themed restaurant around and we'll call it good. No, they really have to build Chiefs City, USA around this new stadium. They've really got to build it up and up and up and make sure that it is the kind of place you can stay and not have to leave. The goal should be, we've got enough right here by the new Chiefs Stadium. You don't need to drive the 20 minutes to downtown Kansas City. That's awfully, what's the word I'm looking for here? What is the word I'm looking for here? It's a big ask. That's a grandiose idea, right? To turn that area, that Village West Legends area there in Wyandotte County, which, to be sure, is nice. Like I've been to the Dave & Buster's over there. Been to a sporting game. I'm not a big gambler, but I've heard Hollywood Casino is really nice, and I've never been to a race there, but that's a lot of space where like nothing's going on a lot of the time. Like you need to turn that whole area into a destination more than I'm going to go buy a couch and maybe play some skee ball. No, it's got to be a lot bigger than that if you want the truly big events to come and continue to come, because they will come. You get it right, they will come. Matt Norlander, who covers college basketball for CBS Sports, I saw him on social media yesterday say they get that stadium right, there will be a Final Four in Kansas City no later than 2035. Firmly believing that is the case. So that's in front of Wyandotte County. That's in front of the state of Kansas. The opportunity to not just get a Final Four, but multiple. And the opportunity to get a Super Bowl. But if you want them to keep coming back, if you want to come at all, kind of a place for people to stay that isn't on the other side of the state line. Because then all that talk about the economic benefit, that starts to dwindle a little bit. We're going to take our first break here at 580 Sports Talk. When we come back, some of your reaction, looking for you on the text line, 785-272-9429, and in the YouTube live chat. Also, I am going to beseech Chiefs brass, do not call this new place Arrowhead Stadium. and I'll explain why when we come back. Michael Swain, Fog.net, joins us bottom of the 4 o'clock hour. Mitch Holthus at 525. What is wrong with you? Tournament champions, quarterfinals today. It's a jam-packed show. Glad you're here. 580 Sports Talk. $3:35 on 580 Sports Talk. No, not yet. Still $3:34 on the show. I'm ahead of myself from the future. I'm Dan Lucero. Brendan Rosinski will be along later on. Got our first two quarterfinal matchups of the What is Wrong with You Tournament of Champions coming up here in just a little bit. Some reaction from listeners to the beginning of today's program. Going into the YouTube chat today. Again, we talked about Jayhawk saying this. Chiefs moved to Kansas, Missouri throwing a fit. Yeah, I think a lot of it is performative outrage. Like I said, you have to, if you're a politician, you have to placate the portion of your voters who are upset, maybe even distraught today. But I do think there's a lot of it that's not necessarily performative. I think there are a lot of people who are really going to miss having the Chiefs in their hometown. I think lifelong Kansas Cityans who've know nothing but the Chiefs playing in Kansas City proper on the Missouri side, they're going to be hurt. They're going to be hurt by that. And I understand that. Tyler says the Olathe Royals sound sweet. We'll get into the Royals a little bit in the 4 o'clock hour regarding the decisions that they may or may not be making. I forget if it was Clark Hunt or Mark Donovan who got asked, maybe it was both of them, about what the new stadium would be called, the new Chiefs Stadium, and if Arrowhead will be part of the name. And whoever was asked was non-committal on the subject because obviously the stadium doesn't open until 2031. Who knows? There are certainly going to be some sponsorship dollars that get tied to the naming rights. You got a $3 billion stadium. You can offset that cost one way or another. One way to do it is sell naming rights. And so we're probably going to get something not too dissimilar to GEHA Field or whatever local company chooses to, or national business chooses to put their name on this new sporting palace in Wyandotte County. Where I grew up, Denver, Colorado, we had Mile High Stadium for a lot of years, and they tore down Mile High, and they built a new stadium right on the spot. And they attached Mile High to the name of the new stadium. The initial name was Invesco Field at Mile High. I believe it is now Empower Field at Mile High. There's still that nod to the past because right there is where the past stood. And I've always agreed that that was probably a sensible thing to do. It was a popular thing to do within the fan base. Most people, including me, still call the stadium Mile High because that's where Mile High is. But if they move the team to Commerce City, or if they move the team to a different suburb of Denver, or when they move the team just a little bit south, when the Walton Penner Group gets their new stadium built with a roof on it, they shouldn't call that stadium Mile High because that's not Mile High Stadium anymore. The Chiefs shouldn't put Arrowhead in the name of this stadium. It's not going to be Arrowhead Stadium anymore. It's not going to be remotely like Arrowhead Stadium. It's going to be indoors. It's going to be in Kansas. It's not going to have that shape. It's not going to have that history. It's not going to have that lore. Separate the past from what is to come. Leave the name Arrowhead Stadium behind. Let Arrowhead be what was and what will be celebrated by everyone who remembers it until there is no one left to remember it. Because that day will come. And let the new place be the new place. Let the new place be the new place. Name the field after Lamar Hunt, right? GHA Field at Lamar Hunt Stadium. I'd be fine with that. Name it after Len Dawson. Name it after Patrick Mahomes. I don't care. But do something different with the name. The real interesting discussion, the one I'm not really ready to have on the day before Christmas, but how far removed do the Chiefs want to be from Arrowhead? How far do they want to be with some of the more, choosing my words very carefully here, the more debated about traditions of Arrowhead Stadium? What do the Chiefs want to really do about those? Do they want to keep those? Do they want to see a new stadium as an opportunity to maybe pivot away from some of that? You guys could probably read between the lines here. Like I said, I'm not really wanting to do this debate today. It's 2 days before Christmas. We don't have to do this today. But how much different the new place will be a question. But I think it should be all the way different in the sense that it is an Arrowhead. It's not going to be Arrowhead. You're never going to be able to recapture Arrowhead. Just make it a new thing. Make it a new thing all the way down to the name. And leave Arrowhead behind in the past for all of us who went there, cherished our time there, loved that place. Let it lie. Let it lie and let it rest. And in the 2100s, our grandchildren can tell the stories of T-Mobile Stadium at Lamar Hunt Field or whatever. I think that's fine. I don't think you need to stay tethered to a past that won't exist. Because what made Arrowhead special, like Clark Hunt pointed out, that will travel. And that's the fans. That's the game day environment. That will travel. You don't need the name to travel to. Just call this one something else and let the past be the past. We'll take a timeout. When we come back, Brendan joins us, and we've got the What Is Wrong With You quarterfinals. First 2 of 4 matchups today. We're going to get them started next on 580 Sports Talk. Yeah, a little earlier than you're used to hearing the What Is Wrong With You Open, but we've got 4 matchups today for the What Is Wrong With You quarterfinals of the Tournament of Champions. We're going to get them revved up with 2 quarterfinal matchups right here and right now. And joining us, a member of the High Committee, Brendan Dworzinski.
What's up? Good to see you guys.
This is just such fun that we get to do this every year, that we get to go back and relive these stories and crown a champion. We have such a good time with this. Now, the High Committee chose 4 stories to have first-round buys. And those stories were the Fight Promoter Parents, Operation Bear Claw, the Winnebango, and Give Me a Tip or I Empty the Clip. And a fun thing about that is that means all 3 of us, you, me, and Spencer, we all got at least one story into the Elite 8, as it were. The egregious 8, I think we decided to call it one year, of the quarterfinals. So everybody's got a story that they handpicked and brought to the show that is in this final round or these quarterfinal rounds of What Is Wrong With You. 2 first-round matchups, quarterfinal matchups. Let's get into them. Matchup number 1. Your buy, your higher seed here, if you will, is Operation Bear Claw. 4 folks in Los Angeles County who committed a little bit of insurance fraud when they claimed a bear had scratched up their luxury vehicles when, in fact, it was just somebody in a bear suit with the kind of meat claws that you can buy at your local barbecue retailer to shred your brisket or your pork or your chicken, whatever you want to shred with the meat claws. But it was somebody in a bear suit, and when the Department of Insurance began to suspect something looked a little odd, they went to the California Department of Fish and Wildlife to review the surveillance footage, because that was just it. The people handed in this surveillance footage like, yeah, man, you see these scratches on our car? It was a bear. See? Here, there's the bear. And somebody went to the Department of Fish and Wildlife, said, hey, can you real quick clarify this was actually a bear? And the Fish and Wildlife folks got back, nah, man, not a bear. Clearly a human in a bear suit. Not even not a bear, but no, that is definitely a person wearing a bear suit. The fraudsters had initially defrauded multiple insurance companies of more than $300,000. I know the bear suit and the meat claws didn't cost nearly that much. They'd covered their expenses. They were willing to live with some surface damage to their Rolls Royces and Mercedes. But they got busted. Because if it looks like a bear, but it doesn't walk like a bear or do damage like a bear, it's not a bear.
There aren't many animals I think you could make a worthwhile claim with. Like, oh no, it's a buck that tore up my car. No, that's clearly a person. That's clearly 2 people walking simultaneously in a costume. Like, I don't know what animal you could get away with, but you really could not get away with bear.
No. Bears are earth sign mammals and move in a certain way that we don't.
Yeah. Even the largest human is not going to look like a bear.
E for effort, T for nice try. That one takes on one of our winners from yesterday, the January champion, the fascist falconer, the head falconer from the Italian pro soccer team, who was fired after he posted pictures of his penile implant surgery on the internet for all to see. And then barricaded himself in the team facility when he got fired. That's a great story. Great quotes, just incredible characters you'd almost have to invent if they weren't real in that one.
Yeah.
But the idea of committing insurance fraud by telling your buddy, hey, will you put on this bear suit and nick up our cars real quick? Just, can you take 30 minutes? Do you have time? Wonder what his cut was. Wonder if they say, whatever we get, we'll give you 10%? 10% would be 30 grand.
Yeah.
For what? A minute of your time?
Yeah, if that.
Just walking around on foot like Bigfoot, holding these meat claws.
Oh, God.
Such a funny visual. I would love to have been a fly in the wall at the California Department of Fish and Wildlife the day they got that tape for review. You know, the guy sitting there looking at the footage, waving all of his buddies over like, yo, you got to come see this. Can you believe those morons in insurance?
They'll never suspect a thing.
Operation Bear Claw's my pick.
Yeah, I'm going to go with that one as well. Now, I will admit, the first time that I heard this story's title, I thought we were talking about taking a trip to a bakery. But when I found out the real story, much funnier.
The name of the story actually didn't come from us. The name of the story came from the scheme, which was referred by the Los Angeles County investigators. They called it Operation Bear Claw, and so do we. And it moves on to Friday's Fail 4. The next matchup, I think, is the toughest of the matchups in this quarterfinal round. We have our November champion, the fight promoter parent. That's the woman from Lebanon, Missouri, who arranged a fight between teenagers at a laundromat across from Lebanon High School. Two juveniles who already had an ongoing dispute. It happened after a Friday night football game. One of the combatants unwittingly walked into the laundromat because they were summoned via text, and the other person was already there, and so was a crowd with their phones out ready to film. And a fight ensued. And when asked why this woman would do such a thing, she claimed the fight was bound to happen eventually and was present to make sure it was done safely. You ever have the parents in your neighborhood that were like, yeah, my kids are going to drink anyway. They may as well have all this vodka and stuff. It's fine. Kids are going to drink anyway. I'd rather than do it in my house.
Yes, that was pretty much the entire town of Western Springs, Illinois.
I also love this note, too, that local police noted that the woman and another adult male could be heard in the video encouraging one of the combatants to, quote, kick their ass.
Yeah, that's really the, no pun intended here, the kicker of the whole
blood!
thing. Yeah. Like, okay, we know they're going to fight. We should, like, sanction it and keep it safe. That really loses its luster when you're, like, putting money on the fight.
Yeah, I just wanted it to be safe. Also, I had a rooting interest. Like, I don't know that.
Also, I got odds.
Like, Don King made the money either way. He wasn't standing up front row at those Tyson fights being like, come on, Mike. Get his ribs.
Yeah, not really how it works.
That story takes on another mom trying to be cool. In fact, we called it The Cool Mom. Our story in May of the woman from Texas who purchased Jell-O shots on Facebook and sent them to school for a 5th grade party. Multiple students were sick. Some threw up. One couldn't stand because, 10-year-old's tolerance is pretty weak. Let's be honest.
Yep.
They're lightweights at that age. Can't handle a little booze. Also, shouldn't be drinking any booze. Also, shouldn't have booze in school, on school grounds. But this woman's like, I didn't know the Jell-O shots had liquor in them. Do you think they laughed in her face?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Or just yelled at her.
As God is my witness, I didn't know Jell-O shots had alcohol in them. Come on, man.
Yeah, nice argument. Good try.
I am at a crossroads with this one. Either one of these stories could win this matchup.
I am going to vote for the cool mom. And the reason why is it's just so stupid. Like, the other one is funny, but also terrible. It's a very worthy competitor here. We've had adults, like, setting up fight clubs before. I genuinely think this woman is just so incredibly stupid that I've got to go with this one. I'm going with the cool mom.
Going with the cool mom. Like, first of all, how you buy Jell-O shots on Facebook? That's a wild move. But this parent, according to the report, was an involved parent at the elementary school. She went to a lot of functions. She wasn't, like, checked out. Like, she knew what was going on at the school. But how do you bring them to a 5th grade party? How do you decide, you know what these kids are going to love? Jell-O shots. I don't even know what they are.
Yeah.
Like, ooh, what's this? Oh, cool, Jell-O. Let me have 6.
Why would you buy a consumable on Facebook? Seriously, like, what would ever lead you to think this was a good idea? Other than just being lazy and stupid.
On the flip side, I also really like the idea of a mom texting a bunch of teens and saying, yo, it's going down at the cleaners across from the football field after the Friday game. Bring your phones. Did she charge admission?
Oh, yeah, you've got to charge a gate for that. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm leaning. I think we got to let the listeners make the call on this one. We're going to let the listeners decide who wins this matchup between the cool mom who brought Jell-O shots to a 5th grade school party with not virgin Jell-O shots, because that's not a thing.
That's just Jell-O.
The cool mom or the fight promoter parent. The fight promoter mom. Fight mom. You want to do cool mom or fight mom? Get your votes in the YouTube live chat, 580 Sports Talk on YouTube, or text your vote to 785-272-9429, 785-272-9429. And we'll pick ourselves a winner to move on to the Fail 4 on What Is Wrong With You. We'll come back after this break on 580 Sports Talk. Just about unanimously, it's the cool mom who defeats Fight Mom.
Wow.
To advance to the final. I really thought Fight Mom, like, this was the
It's a good story.
It is. This was the 4-5 matchup, if we're being honest about it. This was the one that you both have parents acting out of pocket, so it kind of set it up like that on purpose. But as I looked at today's matchups, I said, man, this is the one I have the least idea of how I want to vote or how our listeners would vote. Like, I have a pretty good idea. I can get a finger on the pulse of like which stories our listeners really like.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Winnebago got a bye. That might be the people's champ. That might be the
That's
story.
Yeah.
That one's going to live in the memory like the Skeleton Sex House does. If it doesn't end up winning.
What a great story.
Yeah, I think about it every time I drive past a house with the
Past
skeletons.
a house. Every time I go by
Yeah,
any house,
any-
I think, man,
any
what are there
house.
skeletons banging up on the roof?
But, some stories are the people's champs. And I think the Winnebago is probably that kind of story this year, the Winnebago. But we'll get to that one and the rest of our What Is Wrong With You quarterfinals in the next hour here on 580 Sports Talk. Also coming up in the 4 o'clock hour, Michael Swain of Fog.net, part of the 24/7 Sports Network, will join us. And also, the Chiefs are coming to Kansas Are the Royals going to follow them across state lines? How realistic is that possibility that Kansas ends up with both of Kansas City's major pro sports franchises? We'll get to it in the next hour of 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. Hour number 2, 580 Sports Talk. On this Tuesday, this penultimate show of 2025. Dan Lucero, Brendan Rosinski hanging out with you this afternoon on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and in living color on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and our Facebook page, WIBW News. However, wherever, whenever you're catching the show today, thanks for being a part of the audience. Thanks for taking time out of this December 23rd to hang out with us. Hopefully all of your Christmas shopping and wrapping is done. Brendan, is your shopping and wrapping all spoken for?
Need to get some stocking stuffers.
Sure.
Might be doing that late night tonight after the wife and kiddo go to bed.
Is the little one spoken for?
Yes.
All set to go with her. It'll be her second Christmas, but
yeah, she her eyes weren't even developed enough to look at the tree when she was
right.
for her first Christmas.
December baby, yeah.
Yeah, first one she actually gets to enjoy.
Sure.
I need to build something for her, like a little slide. We got her a little indoor 2-step slide.
Yeah,
I gotta
Asher
build
has one of
that,
those and really likes it.
Yeah.
He likes to send balls or cars down it, and now he likes to go down it head first.
Yeah, I can see my kid wanting to do that.
My boy's a daredevil, man. I'm gonna have to tell him, hey man, they stopped filming Jackass episodes decade and a half ago. That's not really a thing you can be anymore.
What if they could bring it back? So yeah, I got to build that before Christmas morning. But yeah, her gifts are all taken care of now.
That's good.
So that's good. Yeah.
Our boy's all set. We got to build his big gift. My wife and I will build that together. Probably build a little tension along the way too, as a couple does when they build something together.
What were we doing the other day? We had to put a cover on a new duvet we'd gotten for our guest bed. My in-laws came to town, and my wife pulls it all out, and I said, "Oh, you want me to help out?" And she goes, "Either you do it or I do it. It's not going to end well if we both try to do this."
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do it.
So we got one more thing to put together, and I got my wife's gifts wrapped last night. Played through the pain. My mangled finger. If you missed it yesterday, it was my ugly on Good Bad Ugly. Shut the tip of my middle finger on my left hand, I'm left-handed, so it's my do everything hand. I shut the tip of my middle finger in a car door. And I'm not going to lie to you, it makes life real convenient not having the use of the middle digit. Not just in the sense I can't tell people how I really feel about them, but I can hardly type. It takes me twice as long to type anything. And it's hard to pick up my kid. Any contact to it hurts. It's just the entire nail is black.
Ew.
It's you can see. I'm gonna show everybody.
Yeah, really show that middle finger to the camera.
Yeah, that's why I had the other finger up too, to make sure everybody knew if they were just kind of half watching the stream that I didn't just give them the finger. But yeah, so played hurt, got the gifts wrapped last night, so we're ready to go. Our boy's sick though. Ash is a little under the weather, carrying a little bit of a fever, so that may put a delay on Christmas Eve plans, but hopefully he gets better. Because they don't sleep through the night, which was not a thing that happened last night. So we haven't had 580 Dad Talk in a while.
It's been a minute.
We haven't had the occasion to run a little bit of 580 Dad Talk by our listeners, but that felt good. That felt right. Hope all you and yours are prepared for the holiday. We are going to take 580 Sports Talk is going to take tomorrow off. We are going to take obviously Christmas Day off, and then we'll be back on Friday for one last show. We'll do some year in review stuff. We'll talk to Matt Derrick. We'll recap Chiefs Broncos. I guess we're not doing any of the game preview stuff today. We just totally scotched the idea of keys and a big Chief and a game prediction for Chiefs Broncos on Thursday night.
Genuine question, if you're a Chiefs fan. Do you have any level of excitement for this game? Seriously, any beyond just I like the Chiefs and I like to see them on my television. Are you actually at all excited to watch the Chiefs play football?
What's the hook, right? That's the question. What's the thing that's going to, beyond that's my favorite team, what's the hook to get you to turn that game on? Last home game of the year, and maybe Travis Kelce's last game at Arrowhead.
Yeah.
And we're now like counting down the number of games left at Arrowhead Stadium. So officially, so there's that element of it too. But yeah, other than that, man, it's a whole Christmas Day full of not even backup quarterbacks, third string quarterbacks. We're getting the bottom of the barrel quarterback wise for Christmas Day. We're going to see Josh Johnson. We're going to see Max Brosmer, and we're going to see Chris Oladokun.
Oh, God. Chris Oladokun, Max Brosmer, Bo Nix. I mean, it's just awful.
That's what you get, NFL, for trying to hone in on the NBA's day. Christmas is for the end. Christmas is for hoops.
And to be frank, I kind of liked it that way because then I just like wouldn't pay attention to it. Not that I don't like basketball or like the NBA, but like I don't need to watch every NBA game. Like,
no, I'm not a big regular season NBA. I'm not a big NBA game that doesn't involve Nikola Jokic guy. If we're being completely honest about my feelings for the NBA, it's Wemby and the Spurs playing Oklahoma City. Yeah, all right, cool.
Like if it's a big game like that and it's 8:00 and I'm not doing something else and I'm turning on the TV, yeah, sure, I'll throw that on. But I'm not setting aside, sorry, got to make sure the presents are open by 3:00, which really like 3:20 because the NBA never starts on time. Like, got to watch Wemby Christmas Day. Like that ain't me.
Yeah.
Football, I like to watch. This schedule, because of injuries and because a lot of these seasons have gone south, it sucks.
Yeah, it's really bad. Really, really bad.
Like, can you even be excited about possibly playing spoiler? I guess.
Yeah, the Broncos could end up, like, even if they don't lose on Thursday, if the Chargers win out, that would include a win over the Broncos week 18. The Broncos wouldn't win the division. Chargers would win the division. Wow. And then the Broncos have to go on the road in the first round of the playoffs, probably to Jacksonville.
Wow.
Yeah, that'd be pretty wild.
Looking at the standings right now, the playoff picture right now, one, I think it is possible we run into a no Sunday Night Football setup for week 18 because they will do that. If there's nothing on the line, they will not play Sunday Night Football. I don't think that's impossible.
See, I think that's going to end up Chargers Broncos. I think that'll be. I think it'll be. If the Chargers beat the Texans, that sets up winner take all in the AFC West, which no guarantee.
Oh God, dude, that offensive line against Houston's defense. Oh no,
the whole game is going to be an exercise in an experiment. What happens when there are no offensive linemen on the field?
But that's probably what it hinges on. That or Panthers Bucks. Because that might be for the division and for the playoffs, period. That one could be win or get in and lose or go home. So that it could be either of those two games. So you're right. We probably will get Sunday Night Football in week 18. Looking right now at the playoff picture, I know we've got something to get to here in a second. I'm curious, though, because it's our last show before this week's games and one of our last ones of the year. 5 teams are in the playoffs guaranteed right now in the AFC. Broncos, Patriots, Jaguars, Chargers, Bills. Texans are in the hump. They have a 97% chance. Steelers have not clinched yet, but they've got a 91% chance, according to NFL.com. Give me a power ranking of those. Well, all 7 are going to get in. Give me a power ranking right now. Not like an expectation of seed, but Broncos, Pats, Jags, probably Steelers. Chargers, Bills, probably Texans.
A current AFC power ranking
of the 7 likely playoff teams.
Oh my gosh. I don't like this game. Like,
like the wild thing is right now, the 5 teams that have all clinched are within 1 game of each other.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
I think the teams playing the best right now are Jacksonville and Houston. And I think the team that I am going to pick to win the AFC is still Buffalo. Because they have the quarterback. And like that is the way my brain has been wired over the last 7 years of watching football is you better have the man under center.
Mm-hmm.
Or at the very least, somebody who I think we can say about Jalen Hurts is that he has been something of a playoff riser in his career.
Yeah.
Maybe that's overly generous, but like the best game of his career was that Super Bowl loss to the Chiefs. So he has played some of his best football in January where it has mattered the most. But you got to have the guy because the Chiefs have the guy.
Yeah.
And if you're going to beat the guy, it's probably because his offensive line has been decimated by injuries. But you've got to have the guy at quarterback if you're going to get to the Super Bowl. And there's only one team in the AFC I think has that guy, in Buffalo.
I would right now power rank it: Bills, Jags, Texans, Broncos, Pats, Steelers, Chargers.
I might go Pats ahead of the Broncos.
Their defense just stinks. Their offense has a higher ceiling. Drake May is that guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's incredible. I'm taking Spencer's not here for this. I told you, you jerk. I was right. You can have Jaden Daniels. I will say I was wrong about that for now. He did get hurt this year. I was right about that too. Drake May is that dude. He's unbelievable.
Yeah.
So their offensive ceiling is way higher than Denver. Their defense is terrifying, though. Like, they can't stop it.
Yeah, not in a good way. Yeah,
they and the Broncos are pretty much opposites. Broncos offense probably a little better than that. But
Broncos defense hasn't been very good since the bye, though.
They can get picked on by good quarterbacks.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing, too, is they're
until the Packers' right tackle, Zach Tom, got hurt, Jordan Love was picking them apart.
Yeah, and teams that can beat them are teams without, like, a wide receiver who makes everything work that Patrick Surtain can lock down.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what good is it to have a shutdown corner when you play the Bills?
I was
who
going
don't even throw to their
actually,
outside wide receiver.
I want that matchup as much as any in the playoffs is Bills Broncos. I think that's fat because the Broncos defense is good, but the elite quarterback and kind of like mix and match piecemeal offensive pieces. They've not been great against the run. They're okay. They're not great against it. Like I think that's a fascinating matchup. I would love to see that.
Still to come this hour on 580 Sports Talk, Michael Swain of Fog.net for Jayhawk Weekly, and another round of quarterfinals on the What Is Wrong With You Tournament of Champions. Also, your text, 785-272-9429. Your thoughts in the live chat on our YouTube stream. If you're watching us live on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, hop in that live chat. Say hello, interact with us, interact amongst yourselves, and grow that 580 Sports Talk community. 580 Sports Talk on YouTube. The thing I wanted to talk about, the Chiefs deal is done. They're coming to Kansas.
That's crazy.
I know, still blows my mind a day later. What about the Royals? They've got a similar decision to make. We know that in 2031, they are going to be playing somewhere else. The lease at Kauffman Stadium expires in January of 2031. So 2030 will be the last year of baseball at Kauffman Stadium. The Royals prefer to build downtown. The first plan they put in front of Kansas City voters lost in resounding fashion. Not because downtown baseball is totally repellent to people, but because the plan was half-assed and there wasn't any real tangible benefit that could be presented for the people of Kansas City. I think if Kansas City if the Royals came back to the negotiating table and said, okay, here's what we can do. Here's our next offer. I think after losing the Chiefs, they would win any vote. They would win any vote, and they would win it probably as resoundingly as they lost the last one.
Mm-hmm.
You had a lot of people didn't vote, frankly, in the special election. The people who were the most engaged voted no. I think you would have a lot more engaged yes voters the second time around. But there are some alternate locations that have arisen for possibilities for the Royals Stadium. There's the Hesperia campus in Overland Park, where people both in Overland Park and in nearby Leawood have said, hey, we don't want a ballpark here. Please, no thank you.
Wow. Those folks are being NIMBYs. I can't believe it.
I know it, right? So both states' offers still stand. Like, Kansas will do another star bond where they give up to 70% of the money via star bonds to the Royals for their stadium project to come to Kansas City. So it is imperative upon Missouri to make the better offer. And we'll see how they circle the wagons. I think this comes down to how embarrassed is Missouri to have lost the Chiefs, and how far are they willing to bend over backwards for the Royals? Because if the government will sign off on it and do what financially they've got to do to make the Royals make the business decision to stay in Missouri, because that's been the word from Missouri for the last 24 hours as well. The Chiefs made a business decision, and we understand it. Well, now you got to make the Royals make a business decision to stay on your side. Otherwise, they're going to look at that deal the Chiefs got and say, oh, you'll do that for us too? Sick. Hello, Leewood. Well, maybe not, but you get the idea. How do you think this resolves? Do you think the Royals follow the Chiefs, or do you think Missouri is, particularly Jackson County and the Kansas City area, the surrounding counties, are going to be hell-bent not to let two teams leave?
I think it's the latter. That's my assumption. Now, granted, I also assumed that Missouri would do absolutely anything to keep the Kansas City Chiefs on that side of the border. But I think they will give whatever they want to the Royals. Like, this is an opportunity, and frankly, it's an opportunity for the Royals to really steer into, like, we're Kansas City's team. We're not the Metro's team. We're Kansas City's team. Like, there's a branding opportunity there. You've got all sorts of different places where you could possibly go. Now, it has been handled terribly from the very beginning. That's what makes this Chiefs deal so wild to me, is that they were not the first ones to get in on the stadium talk. It was the Royals first, then the Chiefs piggybacked on the original plan.
And their idea was even more half-assed than the Royals' idea.
Oh, it was quarter-ass. It was terrible.
Because I think it was always the Chiefs' plan to play, and Sam McDowell laid this out, I thought, really well in the Kansas City Star today. The plan was always to pit the states against each other and see which state gave them the better deal.
Yes.
The plan was never, the Jackson County is going to okay this, and we're going to stay in a renovated Arrowhead. I don't believe that was ever the plan for the Chiefs. It was always going to be, all right, which of you is going to give us the most money to build where we really want to build?
Agree.
And so for the Royals, hasn't quite been that. And I wonder how much the desire remains for Kansas. Like, they got the big fish, no disrespect to the Royals. Like, do they keep the same offer on the table for the Royals? Do they the extension of the offer? Because the idea was the end of this year was the hard out. You took it by the end of this year, or the offer went away for the Chiefs and the Royals.
Yeah.
But they did extend the offer to I think it's the end of June, so midway through next year, for the Royals to continue to consider. Because if they're going to play in a new stadium in 2031, they got to get shovels in the ground by 2028 at least.
Yeah.
So, they got to get into the planning phases of what the stadium's going to look like. That's the stuff that the Chiefs are now, is now getting underway. That's a very important note, by the way, a little side note to listeners. If you think you've seen renderings of the new Chiefs Stadium, no, you haven't.
Yeah,
you've not seen anything official. You've not seen anything from the team. You've seen either AI slop or something that somebody put together on Photoshop. You've not seen anything legitimate. That doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Royals have legitimate renderings of what it might look like downtown, or what it might look like in North Kansas City or wherever. They just don't have the go-ahead to put the shovels in the dirt.
Would it be possible to just build Royalsville at the Truman Sports Complex? I think that's on the table.
That would be such a wild turn of events, that it ends up being the Royals who get the Truman Sports Complex land and develop on that, and keep the parking lot, the tailgating tradition and all that, and get to develop on that land. That would be wild.
It would be. I don't think that would happen, but I'd probably bring it up. Look at all these people upset about the Chiefs leaving because Kansas City has never developed this area. Well, guess what we're going to do? Develop this area. I don't think that would happen, but I'd put it on the table. I think they are going to stay in Missouri. I think there is too much to lose for that state to not bend over backwards.
And the city of Kansas City, Missouri.
Yeah,
at this point.
I think you're right, too, that if anything comes to a public vote, I think it would pass overwhelmingly at this point.
Yeah, I think the engagement, the lack of engagement was what doomed that first vote to fail as resoundingly as it did. As much as the inadequacy of the plan itself, which was certainly a factor too. You put something a little more appetizing in front of the voters in Jackson County or wherever, Clay County, wherever in Kansas City, right? On the Missouri side now, I think it would pass. I do.
I agree.
I think they'd like to keep one of their teams in KC-Mo. We'll take a break, come back with the second round of quarterfinals on What Is Wrong With You, the Tournament of Champions. Then Michael Swain will join us for Jayhawk Weekly on this hour of 580 Sports Talk. We have two of our semifinalists in the Fail Four on the What Is Wrong With You Tournament of Champions already decided. The Operation Bear Claw and the Cool Mom are moving on to Friday's semifinals. Now we have two more quarterfinal matchups in our Tournament of Champions. Let's move right into matchup number 3. The People's Champ from July, the Winnebago, a couple from West Virginia, facing several charges after an officer says he observed them having sex while driving a recreational vehicle that was stolen and was carrying drugs. So not only do you have the element of, obviously, don't commit a crime while committing a crime,
Yep.
but there was a very easy way to have maybe avoided detection if you did want to get freaky with your lover in your RV. You could have simply found a place to park and excused yourself to the back of the vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
And if that thing's a rockin', no one's coming knocking. But to do it while driving is insane. The last thing you're trying to do driving a stolen vehicle is to arouse, pun absolutely intended, suspicion. And these folks did that. And aroused some other things too, apparently.
It's just otherworldly, dude.
The driver, Matthew McDonald, also had other warrants.
Oh, sure. No, it's good to draw attention to yourself when you're on the lam.
Nice and discreet, and
good work.
People driving by your RV, they don't know that it's stolen, but they know you're not supposed to be doing that in the front seat. They don't know you got drugs in the back, but they know what's going on in the front.
Unbelievable.
That takes on our April champion, one of our winners from yesterday, 35 Minutes of Freedom, the gentleman that escaped from a Pueblo County, Colorado jail with only 2 days remaining on his 90-day sentence and was only free for 35 minutes before he was found and brought back to jail, where we assume he was sentenced to a stay of much longer than 90 days.
All right, here's a thought. Maybe he realized the outside world's not that great. Maybe 35 minutes was all he needed to think, damn, healthcare and food 3 times a day is actually not bad.
He got out and said, you know what I don't have out here? 3 hots and a cot. Which, I mean, that is unfortunately part of calculus for a good number of people these days.
It's very true.
So that could be part of it. But at the same time, like, he was doing good in prison. Which, again, maybe that was the thing. Like, man, I got a job in here. They trust me. I'm working the kitchen. This is all right. I could go a few more.
Oh, my God.
So that takes on the Winnebago. Where are we leaning?
Winnebago. The 35 minutes of freedom is a great one. Voted for it yesterday, but the warrants, the drugs, being out in full display for the most part, just awful across the board.
Just find a rest stop. Find the parking lot of a truck stop.
Yep.
Parking lot of a Walmart. Just park all the way in the back. Lower the curtains. Just go in the back. People will notice the thing bouncing around and make some jokes, but at least they can't see you. And nobody's going to call and report your RV stolen.
Yep.
Or find out you got warrants.
Yep.
They're just going to say, wow, that couple has a active romantic life. Good for them. And move on with their day.
Yeah. That one's got to win.
Yeah.
That's got to.
The Winnebago advances to the Fail 4. Our final quarterfinal matchup brings us our last bye from yesterday. The June champion, give me a tip or I empty the clip. A 50-something DoorDash driver who was not pleased with the gratuity, or we assume the lack of, that he received from a 19-year-old customer. So he came back to her house the next day, loaded and with a gun.
Yes.
So not only was he packing, he was also drunk.
Also, quote, loud and mouthy.
And immediately disarmed by the 19-year-old's father, which is a really funny part of the story.
Yeah, got him on his ass.
The picture shows him on his backside up against his vehicle while dad walks towards him with his own gun. Like, oh, is that what you thought you were going to do today? Bet you didn't see this being how it would end.
You'll never believe it. This guy has a DUI from before as well.
Yeah, and when the cops got there, I think he called the cops on himself. Yeah, he reportedly told police, I shouldn't have come back.
You think?
Immediate regret. Like, yeah, man, I was pretty litty and I was wilding. I should not have made that decision. I don't know what the hell I was thinking. The rare instance of regret, immediate regret. In a what is wrong with you story.
You're probably asking how I got in this situation.
That takes on the February champion, one of our winners from yesterday, the meth cannon, the 2 gentlemen who were trying to smuggle in cigs and meth over the walls of a federal penitentiary with a T-shirt cannon. One of the single fire joints, not the T-shirt Uzis that are in style, but had the T-shirt cannon. They were going to load it up. Put a few cigarettes in, a few baggies of milk, a meth, and let it rip right up over the fence and into the yard. Amazingly, 2 people standing outside a penitentiary with what looked like a gun aroused some suspicion.
Shocking.
And the 2 gentlemen were arrested.
That is a great story. It is a good story.
Beauty and simplicity, right?
Yes.
And like, hey, man, we're going to feed the population. We're going to make sure they're taken care of. Their nicotine and meth cravings are all spoken for. We're going to move this way into the prison. But, man, that's a really tall wall. How are we going to do it? There's too much of this to put up in ourselves and make a visit at a time. We gotta do this a little more expeditiously. And one of them went to a Pelicans game and was like, hey, man, got an idea. I have been talking myself into the meth cannon as the Cinderella of this field. But I really love The idea that a guy would be so offended over no tip, he'd come back with a gun the next day.
Yeah, I'm sticking with that one. It's such a good story. It's like, okay, man, I know it's not nice, but one, 19-year-olds don't know how to be nice in public anyway. And two, like, dude, you're door dashing. This comes with the territory. Like, sometimes you're going to get treated poorly.
Brother,
I'm sorry.
You are 59 years old.
You are damn near 60.
That is firmly in old enough to know better territory.
And you were going to threaten to shoot a teenager because they don't know manners, essentially.
And you showed up so falling down drunk that you were easily disarmed by the father.
Oh, God.
All right.
Yeah. I'm going with that one. Give me a tip or I empty the clip.
So there you have it. All of the stories that 3 of the 4 stories we selected to receive buys, our top seeds, are moving on to tomorrow. The Fail 4 is set. Operation Bear Claw, The Cool Mom, Winnebago, and Give Me a Tip or I Empty the Clip. One of them will emerge from Friday's show, our last of 2025, as our What Is Wrong With You Champion of the Year. We hope you'll join us for the finale on Friday. In the meantime, we're going to take a timeout. When we come back, Michael Swain will join us for Jayhawk Weekly here on 580 Sports Talk. We are joined on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline by Michael Swain of Fog.net, part of the 24/7 Sports Network. If you need a last-minute gift idea, why not a subscription to the 24/7 Sports Network for a loved one who loves the Jayhawks and wants to read Michael Swain's coverage of Jayhawk athletics. He joins us every Tuesday on the show here on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline for Jayhawk Weekly. And Michael, I think the understanding was that Trey White would be a good player for this Kansas team. Was there any scenario where you felt like he was going to be this good for the Kansas Jayhawks, or as good as he has been here in the non-conference?
No, I don't think so. Well, I think there's some things that you looked at his game and you thought could translate. You know, he got to the free throw line at Illinois. His rebounding rates at Illinois were really good. Like, those are two things you kind of felt like, yeah, hey, you know, Trey White, you know, when Darren's in the game, he's someone that can cut, get you some easy baskets that way, can help you out on the glass. The 4, what I don't think you saw coming was him shooting, 43% from 3. at a decent volume. Like, that's been one of the biggest differences, I think, that I don't know if anybody would have expected that going into the year. And that's been such a huge development for KU. And I had some concerns early in the year if KU would be able to play Trey White at the 3 with Flory and Bryson Tiller. But if your guy playing the 3 all of a sudden shooting, 40+% from 3, that makes it a lot easier, especially if that guy at the 4 then is kind of a 32%, I should say, 3-point shooter like Tiller is. So, yeah, he's been remarkable during non-conference play, and he is, I think, really taken advantage of Darren being out. I think he's grown in his aggressiveness, right? You go back and look at the first 2 games of the season, he grabbed 3 rebounds total, and in the time since, he's grabbed 6, I think, every game but 1 maybe. Like, I think he's someone that just aggressiveness has progressed. He's grown into this role, and he's taken full advantage of Peterson being out.
Speaking of Darren Peterson being out, the freshman phenom did not play again last night for the Jayhawks. And after the game, Bill Self acknowledged that Peterson's family has had some say in his return to the court. Is this one of those things that's kind of been understood that Bill Self maybe saying the quiet part out loud in this particular situation? Or was this a little surprising to hear Bill Self admit that some playing time decisions are not just between the coach and the player right now?
Yeah, I think it's something, man, I think we discussed maybe a couple weeks ago about the fact that, look, I think, there are kind of 3 parties in this. There's KU, there's Darren, and there's Darren's family. And I think that Darren would love to play, but he's being advised by people close to him that, hey, don't play unless you're really 100%. So, yeah, I do think Self kind of finally said the quiet part out loud. I don't think that anybody's necessarily surprised by what he said. It's more just the fact that you got a Hall of Fame basketball coach at one of the top programs in the country, admitting that the parent of a player is determining if that guy's playing. And that is more, I think, of what some people maybe are taken aback by, is just the fact that that's the situation that we're in. And it's unprecedented, right? I don't remember ever hearing, Calipari or Krzyzewski have situations like this. They talk about saying the family of a player is making availability decisions, but also we were in a very different age back then. So it's one of those where it's a tough situation, I think, for Self to be in, because he'd love to play Peterson, but I think he can also see that right now he's just not moving right. And I think it's also totally fair for the family to have Darren's best interest at heart. And he's going to make millions and millions in the NBA. And I think trying to preserve the draft stock, the opinion of him, you understand why they're making the decisions. Is it a bummer? Yeah, because I think everyone wants to watch the talented kid play. But I think it's one of those where you can understand all sides of it.
Michael Swain is our guest. He covers the Kansas Jayhawks for Fog.net and does so better than anybody. If you're not a VIP, well, go fix that. Go be a VIP over at 24/7 so you can get all the best insight into what's going on with KU. He joins us for Jayhawk Weekly every single Tuesday at this time. The other part of the Darren Peterson thing, Michael, and maybe I'm barking up the wrong tree here, but is part of the reason he's willing to be so cautious with this and willing to acquiesce to the family because it's Darren Peterson? Like if this was, Paul Mbia who is going through this, I don't think we'd be having the same kind of conversation. I think Bill Self would probably say, okay, well, go enjoy a JUCO year. Like the fact that it's this guy with this level of talent, is that sort of informing how Self is approaching this as well?
I think so. I think so. And look, I think there are so many different ways you can look at this. I don't think KU's going to tell potentially a future NBA All-Star to kick rocks, right? Because think of the amount of branding, regardless of what happens. Think about the amount of branding that Duke has done with Kyrie Irving, even though Kyrie barely played. He will always be thought of as the guy that went to Duke. Just like how Darren, if he sticks with it, right, like everyone wants him to, is going to be thought of as the guy that went to Kansas, right? That is brand awareness. And that is why I think, this isn't as simple as, well, Self should just tell Darren's dad to kick rocks. No, that's not how you handle this. And it makes it for a little bit more of a delicate situation, right? He's a special talent. And in a draft class that's going to be loaded, there's a reason why he was viewed as the number one prospect. And if you want to have your own opinion about, is this hurting his draft stock? Like, look, we can all speculate. Nobody's going to know for sure, because I'll tell you what, NBA GMs aren't going to show you their big board, or put that out on social media for people to see. So yeah, I think KU does have to be delicate because of who this is. You can't just go burn bridges with guys that can do a lot for your school even when they're not at it.
All things considered, and part of that is knowing that you might not have Darren Peterson right away. Where is your confidence level, on a 1 to 10 scale of how good this team is, how competitive this team is with Big 12 play coming up next?
Yeah, I feel pretty good about where things are at. Look, I think at the start of the year, I looked at the team and thought, man, if Darren's not played as of late, they beat Missouri, which I don't think is a tournament team, but NC State, I think, will end up being in the NCAA tournament. And there's reason to be encouraged. Like, I have some concerns about maybe some of the sustainability of KU's offense. Can they consistently do it when you're playing teams, a couple teams the second time, or when teams finally start to get kind of a book on you? That'll be something to watch. But I feel pretty good about where KU's at. I feel a lot better looking at this team without Darren Peterson than I did a couple weeks ago, just because I think guys have gotten better. Melvin Council's playing with a ton of confidence right now. And I think that's such a huge development, because if you can get some scoring out of him, all of a sudden that alleviates a lot more stress that you're looking at the bench and saying, man, can you just get something from those guys? So it's one of those where maybe it's a little recency bias, but I just think the way the team has improved over the course of non-conference play makes me feel like, yeah, I think this can be a team that makes the NCAA tournament even without Darren. And if they do have Darren, man, I think it's a team that can go and compete at the top end of the Big 12.
We've got a few more minutes with Michael Swain joining us for Jayhawk Weekly here on 580 Sports Talk via the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline. Go find Michael's great work over at fog.net covering all things KU. I did want to ask, kind of on a personal level here, Michael, how excited is your wife that you're going to be free all next fall, since KU won't have enough players to fill the roster in football?
I don't even think that's on her radar yet. I think the next thing that she's looking at is her spring break with school and when the NCAA tournament falls. I think that's her big concern right now. Yeah, it's so.
I'm worried, dude. I'm not gonna lie. I am getting very worried.
So what worries you?
You had
bad players leaving?
It's not even as much the fact that there are guys leaving. You have permanent free agency in college sports, right? Like D1, sure. D2, D3, NAIA. Like, you have permanent free agency in college sports now until, the federal government shuts that down. That's the world we're living in. So I'm not necessarily worried about that, but it's the fact that there are a bunch of guys going in who at least I assumed were going to be major contributors or were going to somehow rotate in and be key pieces. Stewart and Thompson in the backfield. I had forgotten Lyric Rawls even had more eligibility, but I saw that name go in a few days ago and thought, oh, that's not great. It's just a lot of guys who I expected to be bigger contributors next year who are leaving. So while you can obviously replace those pieces with more portal guys, I think it becomes more difficult, and we see this in basketball all the time, right? To completely rebuild and have your core be transfers in. That's the thing that concerns me, is that you've got a much smaller homegrown core to build from.
Yeah, sure. Okay. I understand where you're coming from on that. And it's one of those where, look, for me, the concerning part is this is showcasing right now a lot of missed high school evaluations for KU, because a lot of the players that have gone in the portal are from the 2023 and 2024 class. So those are the guys that will be redshirt juniors and redshirt sophomores next year. Theoretically, if you're talking about a rebuilding year, which KU probably is going to have next year with their first-year starter quarterback, you're talking about, hey, can you start a lot of, kind of redshirt sophomore, maybe some redshirt juniors, right? Guys that have 2, maybe 3 years to play. You can build around them, build some continuity, and go from there. That, for me, is what's concerning. As you look at the guys that have left and a lot of the players from those classes, and it showcases, I think, that there have been a lot of missed high school evaluations, which is worrisome in the long term, because I don't think KU is a program that can continuously go to the transfer portal to try and fill out a roster. I don't think that's going to be a sustainable way. Now, if you look at the players that have left, KU's lost one starter, Eric Ross. That's it so far. And for all we know, tomorrow, a bunch of guys could go in, and all of a sudden I'm sitting here like, oh boy, like I'm on the same page as you, Brendan. But for right now, you look at it, the fact of the matter is KU's lost one starter in Lyric Rawls, a guy who was probably going to be your third linebacker next year, John Kamara, a guy who was going to be your third string quarterback, but I think had upside to maybe win the job. He had a really great year in Dave McComb. And then Harry Stewart, who, was maybe going to be your third running back, second running back if things went really well. And then I look outside of that, and it's a lot of guys, and I'm like, yeah, if they were playing for KU next year, that's bad news because I don't think they're very good. And again, that goes back to my bigger concern, which is, has the high school recruiting been good enough? For a while, you could say, man, it's a little too early because of the way things played out, when Lance Bradford was hired, and the fact that there's a full cycle until 2023 class. There's a lot of nuance you can have. But right now, you can look at this and say that high school recruiting has not been good. And that's concerning, again, because transfer portal costs are high, and you're not going to be able to fill, 25 transfer spots with guys who are, Big 12 starting caliber players. There's going to be some swings you have to take. There's going to be some guys that you take that you say, yep, we know this guy's going to be a special teams player and probably going to transfer after next year. You need at least a body to go in there and be able to help you in practice. So it's just a new age, and it comes back again to the high school recruiting. You can look at some of the programs in the Big 12 that have done really well. BYU did not go big in the transfer portal. Iowa State 2 years ago did not go big in the transfer portal. I think you can look outside of Texas Tech, which has the ability to go out and pay the money for those just insanely talented, powerful players with proven production. Outside of that, Big 12 teams consistently can't do that. So what's going to come down to is high school recruiting and player retention. If you get good high school players, can you retain them? So far, the good players that have seen the field, KU has retained. I think Blake Harold will be back, Marcus Calvin, Keaton Quebecca's one, Calvin Clements. Like, those guys, KU's able to get back. But can you have more of them? That, for me, is kind of the more concerning part if you're looking at the transfer portal departures.
Michael Swain covers Kansas Jayhawks athletics for Fog.net, part of the 24/7 Sports Network, and appears with us every Tuesday here on 580 Sports Talk for Jayhawk Weekly. Michael, we'll talk to you again in 2026. We've got next week off, so Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year to you and yours, and enjoy the holiday season, and we'll talk again in 2026.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. You too. Talk to you guys next year.
That is Michael Swain. We'll step aside for a timeout, come back, and wrap up this 4 o'clock hour of 580 Sports Talk. 4:56 on 580 Sports Talk. Quick random question Tuesday. Brendan Dworzinski, what's the best Christmas gift you ever got?
Oh, geez. My kid.
I guess that counts, right?
Yeah.
It was, what?
19 days ahead of Christmas.
Sure.
Yeah. In terms of stuff, oh, geez.
Like, you got to have one you remember when you were a kid.
I mean, I have some I remember, but I remember the year I got a snowboard. That was sick.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Like, there's only so much snowboarding you can do in the Chicago suburb.
That's true.
And I outgrew that one after a couple of years. I'm trying to think of like the life change. When I was in 7th grade, I got my first cell phone. I still remember it was a flip phone. I don't remember what model it was. I think it was a Samsung, maybe. Yeah, I got my first phone 7th grade Christmas. So I'd go with that.
The year my brother and I got a PlayStation 2 was a momentous year.
Yeah.
That was the one, kind of like the Red Ryder BB gun in A Christmas Story, where it's like, hey, I think we got one more thing.
Yeah.
You want to go check around the corner? And my parents did the whole subterfuge. My brother and I opened up the PlayStation, which was really cool. And then we were handed games that my mom's mom, my grandma, had bought us. And we opened the packaging to reveal the distinct green packaging of Xbox games. We call that, in the Lucero household, the year Blockbuster saved Christmas. Because we went and rented some PS2 games on Christmas Day.
There you go.
Got to try out the new gaming system. But that's the one. Want to hear from you, you listeners. What's the best Christmas gift you ever got? 785-272-9429 on the text line.
Real quick, I got to get out of here. We only have 5 seconds. A very Merry Christmas to you and yours, Dan, to your family as well. We'll see you on the other side.
Merry Christmas to you as well, Brendan. One more hour, 580 Sports Talk. Mitch Holthus is with us next. Let's get it. Third and final hour of 580 Sports Talk on this Tuesday. On the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and on our video streaming channels, 580 Sports Talk on YouTube, WIBW News on Facebook. Final hour of the show today. I am Dan Lucero, solo for the rest of today's program. Brendan Dworzinski had to split. Spencer Dupuis is on vacation, so just me for this final hour, and this will be our final hour before Christmas. And our final hour of our penultimate show of the year. We're off tomorrow for Christmas Eve. Hope you understand. We are off on Christmas Day. I know you understand. And also, we're taking off the final few days of 2025. But Friday, December 26th, we're going to do our final show of the year. We got business to attend to. We had circled that day well in advance. We thought we were going to be recapping a meaningful Chiefs game against the Broncos. Obviously, that didn't really happen. But we'll talk about it. Matt Derrick, our Chiefs insider, is going to join us on Friday's show. We'll look forward to that. We're going to crown a year-long champion on What Is Wrong With You. Our champion will be crowned. We're down to 4 in case you've missed it. The 4 stories remaining in the semifinals: Operation Bear Claw, The Cool Mom, Winnebango, and Give Me a Tip or I Empty the Clip. Those are the stories remaining. We will pit them against each other in a semifinal and then a final, and then we will have our new champion of What Is Wrong With You. We'll put the stories out on our social channels, so be watching our X account, 580 Sports Talk, and our Facebook page, WIBW News. We will put links to the initial stories as they were published, and if I can figure it out, I know I do it on X. I'm less certain how it works on Facebook, which doesn't speak real highly of my familiarity with the technology, the meta technology over there. But we'll put some polls out. We'll let you all vote on the Facebook page and on X for your favorite stories in the semifinals, and get a feel for which stories you like the most. We'll put them on Blue Sky, too. If you've migrated over to Blue Sky, you prefer your microblogging site to have real people on it and not just a bunch of bots and Elon Musk sycophants, and you've migrated over to Blue Sky, you can follow us over there, too, at 580 Sports Talk. Not judging. You're still over there on X. That's cool. A lot of people I know are still over there. I'm not hating. I'm just saying I see less and less real person activity on that website as the days go by, which is sad because I loved what Twitter was. I did. But a lot of folks who I know personally kind of floated over to Blue Sky, and I kind of followed them over there. And so I do a little of my posting over there these days. I post a lot less than I did before I had a child, which I'm sure you can all understand. But yeah, wherever you post, we post too, right? The primaries. We're there too. 580 Sports Talk, and then on Facebook, WIBW News. And we'll put polls up, and we'll let you vote on the What Is Wrong With You semifinal. So be on the lookout for that tomorrow in lieu of a show. But glad you're with us no matter how you're consuming the program today, whether live or archived. It would be a great Christmas gift to us. Go like, rate, and review us on Spotify, 580 Sports Talk. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. You don't actually have to get us anything physical. Just show us a little love with a like on Facebook or subscribing on the YouTube channel. Doesn't cost you anything but a click. Follow us on X if you don't already, 580 Sports Talk. Follow us on Blue Sky if you're over there, 580 Sports Talk. Like I said, like us on Facebook, WIBW News. We're everywhere. We're everywhere you want to be. We're like not American Express. What's the other one? What was the one where Visa? Visa's slogan was "We're everywhere you want to be." That's old school. That's like 1990s era credit card commercials. The pre-Jennifer Garner era of credit card commercials. We've got this final hour to spend together today. Mitch Holthus is going to join us in 15 minutes. The voice of the Chiefs. We'll have our weekly conversation. Look ahead to that Chiefs matchup with the Broncos on Christmas Day. Also get Mitch's thoughts on the big news about the Chiefs move to Kansas. Of course, I'm sure Mitch will have an opinion on that. So we'll dial in with Mitch Holthus here in about 15 minutes or so. I do want to hear. I was serious, and I am curious. Get at us on the text line, 785-272-9429, and on the live chat on YouTube, 580 Sports Talk on YouTube. Tell us what your favorite gift you ever got for Christmas was. Or if you don't celebrate Christmas, what's your favorite gift you've ever gotten for any reason? I don't want to exclude anybody here. But since we are coming up on Christmas, which is a gift giving and receiving kind of day, tell me about the best gift you ever got. That's my random question to you today. And I'll read some of the responses that we get later on in this hour. 580 Sports Talk, again, on YouTube. Hop in the live chat. Let us know. Or you can text the show, 785-272-9429. And I'll tell some stories about some good gifts as well. But let's get to some headlines while we have the opportunity. 580 Sports Talk headlines at the top of this hour. We began with the participation report for the Kansas City Chiefs as they prepare to take on the Denver Broncos on Christmas night. 5 Chiefs did not practice. 2 of the top 3 at wide receiver, Rashee Rice and Tyquan Thornton. And the top 2 at cornerback, Trent McDuffie and Jalen Watson, on track to not play on Thursday night. Be fascinating to see how the Chiefs handle the cornerback snaps. I suspect we will get to see Noah Williams. We've been asking for it. Now they're no choice. Unless they're going to run Josh Williams out there, and he's been in the doghouse for a year and a half. He might have to play. There might not be a choice. It might be him. It might be the 2 Williamses on the outside because the Broncos are so big at wide receiver with Cortland Sutton at 6'4". It might be the 2 Williamses on the outside, Christian Fulton in the slot. Or maybe Shamari Connor in the slot. But those are the 5 Chiefs who didn't practice today. Derek Nottie was limited for a second straight day with an illness. Everybody else practiced in full, including Jalen Moore, who was limited on Monday. Jalen Moore, full participant. Mike Edwards, Christian Fulton, Noah Gray, Nazeeh Johnson, Esapole, Trey Smith, and Jake Brenningstool, all full participants. Brenningstool and Johnson, of course, have yet to be activated off of IR. So unless they are activated, they will not play on Thursday. As for the Broncos injury report, and like the Chiefs injury report, this is an estimation. Or I guess the Chiefs, it may not be. But for the Broncos, they explicitly say this is an estimation because they had a walkthrough today. But they would have had the same players, DNPs, and the same players, full participants, as Monday. Players who did not participate in practice for the Broncos, tight end Nate Adkins, wide receiver Pat Bryant. I don't know if you saw Bo Nix about get Pat Bryant killed on Sunday afternoon. The hospital ball to end all hospital balls that he threw the rookie from Illinois with like 30 seconds left in a 2-score game. And Bryant got hit clean. It was a clean hit. Like, crown of the helmet was not down. Contact was to the chest, but it just folded Pat Bryant. And they had to cart him off the field. Bad scene at the end of what was already a bad day for the Broncos at home. Hoping for a speedy recovery for Bryant, who's been, I think a lot of people, including us here on the show, we kind of knocked that pick in the 3rd round, thought he went ahead of a lot of wide receivers we liked better coming out of the draft, but he's had a good rookie season there in Denver. And he is in the concussion protocol, so unlikely to play on Thursday. Linebacker Drake Greenlaw, DNPs for 2 straight days with a hamstring, and center Luke Wattenberg has not practiced with a shoulder injury. Full participation for cornerback Riley Moss, guard Ben Powers, and linebackers Kareem Reed and Justin Sternot. So those are your participation reports. As for other Chiefs news, the Pro Bowl rosters were released earlier today. 4 members of the Kansas City Chiefs were selected as Pro Bowlers and Pro Bowl games participants. Now, go to the Pro Bowl. That's been the case for the Chiefs for the last 7 consecutive years. So it's a bit of a different calculus for the Chiefs Pro Bowlers this year, whether they'll accept the nod and go have a fun time at the Pro Bowl games or whether they'll choose to sit them out. The Chiefs Pro Bowlers are tight end Travis Kelce, his 11th Pro Bowl selection, tied with Jason Witten for second all-time among tight ends, trailing only Tony Gonzalez, who made 14 Pro Bowls. Center Creed Humphrey, right guard Trey Smith, and defensive tackle Chris Jones also selected to the Pro Bowl. The games themselves will be played in San Francisco ahead of the Super Bowl. There's skills competitions all week, then a flag football game on February 3rd. Weirdly, I don't know why, but Steve Young and Jerry Rice are going to be the coaches of the flag football teams, which I understand why that is the case. That makes sense. But Steve Young is coaching the AFC and Jerry Rice is coaching the NFC. Steve Young never played in the AFC. Jerry Rice played in the AFC. He was a Raider. Make it make sense. I don't understand. They should have switched that. Anyway. Other notable Pro Bowl selections, the teams that had the most Pro Bowl selections, the Ravens, the Broncos, the 49ers, and the Seahawks all had 6 players selected. The Eagles, Cowboys, Lions, and Chargers each selected 5. Patrick Mahomes is an alternate this year at quarterback. The AFC quarterbacks voted in were Josh Allen, Drake May, and Justin Herbert. The NFC quarterbacks, Matthew Stafford, Dak Prescott, and Sam Darnold. There were 19 first-time Pro Bowlers. Joe Alt of the Chargers made it at tackle despite only playing 6 games this season. The Jacksonville Jaguars, who lead their division, only had 1 Pro Bowl selection, and it's their long snapper. Ross Matisick is his name. In case you don't, trade long snapper trading cards around the neighborhood. You know those Sporkle quizzes? You ever do a Sporkle quiz? You go and you got to type in the answers in a certain time frame. If they had a long snapper Sporkle quiz, I would fail it so miserably. Name Team X's long snapper. Nope. James Winchester. I got 1. Ross Matisick. I got 2. And then I'm just clicking the end quiz button because I'm done. I got nothing. I couldn't tell you with a gun to my head who my own favorite team's long snapper is. I have no idea who the Seahawks long snapper is. If it's not still LP Ladiseur or Tyler Ott, I had no clue. I know who those guys are. But the Jaguars long snapper, the only Jaguar Pro Bowler. Also, 3 teams did not make the Pro Bowl or have a Pro Bowl selection. The Jets, the Saints, and the Vikings. Another football headline for you, a couple of entries into the transfer portal, names that are recognizable ones, both from Kansas and Kansas State. Harry Stewart, running back, is going portaling for the Jayhawks, unable to crack the running back rotation each of the last 2 years at KU. Had an interesting conversation with Michael Swain in the previous hour, our Jayhawk insider from fog.net. Basically saying that a lot of these guys that are transferring out of KU are guys who really hadn't played or hadn't made that big an impact, and it represents some failings on the part of the Jayhawk coaching staff in evaluating high school players. And that some of these guys that are leaving are not going to be as missed as, for example, a lot of the players who are leaving K-State. And speaking of that, another notable Wildcat has entered the portal, and that's defensive tackle Malcolm Alcorn Crowder, who was really good this year. Second best pass rush win rate among defensive tackles in the Big 12. The big man can play. And he gave the Wildcats that ability to rush from the interior they didn't really have. Like the other guys they had playing at defensive tackle, Damon Ilalio and Uso Sayamalo, those guys are, pluggers, gap guys, run stuffers. Malcolm Alcorn Crowder could do a little bit of that, but he was also an exceptional pass rusher and showed some real signs of being a playmaker for this K-State defense, but he's out the door. And it should not be surprising that there is a lot of turnover when there is a coaching change, no matter what the coaching change is or who the new coach is. This should never be a surprise because, new coaching staff's going to want to develop their own guys. Maybe they got their eyes on bringing some guys from the transfer portal, from their previous destinations. But, man, there's some really good players K-State's losing from their defense. Austin Romaine's a huge loss. Alcorn Crowder's a big loss. I think Quay Moss is a loss. Donovan McIntosh is a loss. Toby Osensami is a huge loss. Ryan Davis is a huge loss for Kansas State. And Jordan Peterson, the new defensive coordinator, and the rest of that defensive staff that's starting to take shape there in Manhattan, they've got some work to do to get it straightened out on that defensive side of the football. Though the flip side of all of this, when you look at players leaving a program and you say, "Oh gosh, probably could have finished 6-6 without those guys too." You know, how good are they if their team's only 6-6? And it's a fair rejoinder, maybe a little harsh, but fair. But that's where K-State stands right now. KU's losing a lot of volume to the portal too, but not a lot of guys who were really impactful for them this last season. K-State's losing impact guys. And I suspect that more so than the coaching change, the impact is quite simple. The impact is those guys all feel like they can go get paid like stars in the NIL market, and Kansas State can't really do that. Can't really do that. So it's a bummer, but it's also college football in the 2020s. And you want to be mad at somebody, you want to point the finger somewhere. The NCAA could have done something about this years and years ago. You saw the train coming down the track and chose to do nothing and get flattened by it. And these are the consequences. We'll take a timeout. Mitch Holthus, voice of the Chiefs, joins us next here on 580 Sports Talk. 527 on 580 Sports Talk on this Tuesday afternoon. We are pleased to be joined in this final hour of the show today by the voice of the Kansas City Chiefs, Mitch Holthus, who joins us weekly throughout the Chiefs season, thanks to our friends at Hy-Vee, your official tailgate headquarters for Kansas City Chiefs football, and by Azura Credit Union, where you can contact Crystal Rippey or Naseem Khan about the credit union advantage for your next home loan. Mitch, I've been asking the listeners, we talked about a little earlier today, I have to ask you, what was the best gift you ever got as a kid for Christmas?
I would say a Civil War uniform in second grade. I was super into studying it. Had a great second grade teacher who allowed or was encouraging it, and so the fact that and then my folks surprised with that. It was real cool, like it was like authentic or whatever. I don't know why my mom did it, but yeah, it was way cool. So I thought it was the greatest thing I've ever had. It was like my Halloween costume for like 9 straight years. I graduated from college, I think.
Wow, that's pretty
cool. I
cool.
still have it somewhere. It's real cool. I still have it someplace. Maybe I'll find it tonight.
How about that? Yeah. Mitch Holthus is joining us here on 580 Sports Talk. Well, Mitch, obviously big news in the Chiefs kingdom this week that by 2031, the Kansas City Chiefs will call the Sunflower State home, with the big announcement made in the state of Kansas yesterday. The plans to build a new stadium in Wyandotte County, a new team training facility in Olathe, Kansas. It's a day that I think has brought about and a bit of news that has brought about, and understandably, a lot of mixed emotions with now a finite number of games left at Arrowhead Stadium and a finite number of games left in Kansas City, Missouri. I'm curious as to your emotions, how you feel about the prospect of a stadium on the Kansas side of the state line and leaving behind what will have been, by its closing, 58 years of memories at Arrowhead Stadium.
Well, there's a little bit of, I lived in Silver Lake for 21 years, and the first 10 years I was the voice of the Chiefs, and 2 years I doubled up with K-State, but I commuted from Silver Lake for 10 years. And I'm like, now you do it. Like that would have cut off, 12 minutes off my commute if I go to Olathe. So, I'm trying to think how many years would be back on my life if that happened. Truthfully, though, interesting question, but one of the things I'm most proud of is that I came up with the moniker Chiefs Kingdom. Now, I say that to answer your question because I've seen this in the flesh when I was been a part of 3 Super Bowl parades with KC Wolf in the back of a pickup, coming over the hill, looking down Grand Avenue and seeing hundreds of thousands of people who are from all walks of life, all race, creeds, and colors. The farmer from Northwest Missouri to the dairy farmer, from Nemaha County, to the third shift worker in Clay Como Auto Plant, Missouri. The kingdom has no boundaries. There's no municipalities. And so I know that sounds naive, and I understand the emotions here. I have emotions about leaving Arrowhead, but this is such a colossal, monumental move, not just moving to Kansas, but what's going to be done in this move, in the fact that you are going to build 2 facilities that become transformational to the entire region. Let me give you something else here. I don't know what the market is now for Topeka, but I'll give you the larger markets in the Chiefs Kingdom, in the primary area of the Chiefs Kingdom. Tertiary is like Germany, but the primary area, I think Kansas City's, it hovers between the 31 and 34 in the market size in the U.S. The Wichita-Hutchinson ADI is 69, I believe, and I think Tulsa's like 61, Springfield 74, Des Moines Ames is 73 or 3, Wichita is 75. They're all about the same. But when you put that all together, you've got a pretty good market size. What these facilities do now is activate the kingdom even more, because you're going to get so many more things happening centered around the Kansas City Chiefs other than 10 football games. And it's very exciting to have a chance to bid on a Super Bowl, to college football playoff, bowl games. There's the Kansas City Bowl every year, to have big-time playoff games, to have big-time, and I mean big-time concerts where you're going to draw 50,000 people and have one in February, one in March, one in April, one in May. And so this is going to activate a lot more and push more buttons than people even realize. Or if you want to drive over from Topeka and have a night out and have a night with dinner in like a Chiefs County Fair, you can have that in a Chiefs themed restaurant, or have a vacation where you're going to enjoy all the amenities of Kansas City, but you're going to stay and, hey, we're going to do 2 or 3 Chiefs things at 2 locations, basically. So there's going to be additional amenities. That the depth of this thing is vast and exciting. I understand the emotion. I did the Chiefs Kingdom show last night in Lee's Summit, Missouri. Not a smart move, but we set those up in the summertime. The point is, it's a raw emotion. I get it. But when you think about the kingdom, and the kingdom having blurred municipality lines and state lines, you realize where I'm coming from in my excitement.
Mitch Holthus is the voice of the Chiefs, joining us a courtesy of our friends at Hy-Vee and Jura Credit Union here on 580 Sports Talk. Returning to the action on the field, obviously, if you're a team that's down to its third string quarterback, something has gone a little bit rotten in your season, has veered into the realm of the unfortunate. But what I will say about Chris Oladokun's meaningful NFL debut, because he played some snaps, 5 snaps at the end of that Denver game, week 18 last year, just the 5 snaps to kind of kill the game. But his first meaningful live fire regular season snaps, I did not think he looked overwhelmed or not prepared for the moment. What did you see from Oladokun as he now has this NFL experience under his belt and now prepares to make his first NFL start with a primetime audience against one of the best defenses in the NFL at Arrowhead Stadium?
To me, the best answer I can give you is the way he engineered the 2-minute drive at the end of the half to get 3 points, and that's when the game is still on the line. And so he had great poise and understanding. You see even established quarterbacks that struggle in the 2-minute offense. And Chris has been around Patrick for 3+ years. They're friends. It's like I could hear Patrick's voice in the back of my head going, "Come on, Chris, you can do this, bro. Let's go." They are thick as thieves, those two, to quote the warden on Shawshank Redemption. The point here, though, is the fact that Patrick, just by osmosis or direct communication, Chris has learned a lot. Chris helps Pat, though. But Chris understands and has some poise. And he was making good throws. Twice he did the Patrick, hey, I'm going to run right up to the line of scrimmage, but not cross it and get a penalty for illegal forward pass, and I'll get big plays to the receiver down the field. So I was very impressed with Chris. And for him to engineer and grind out 9 points, because I'll see your third string quarterback, but I'll raise you a 5th string and 6th string offensive tackle. And the 5th string guy barely played college football, 22 games at Wazoo and a little bit of JUCO, didn't play high school ball. And the right tackle with Chu Godric didn't play any kind of football at all at some combine in Nigeria, and he's the International Pathway Program. That's your tackles. I mean, it's kind of beyond belief, where I've asked some longtime staffers, like, have you ever seen this? And they don't even verbally respond. They just shake their head and kind of look at the ground. So this is very unique, what we're experiencing here. And yes, here comes Denver with that awesome defense, arguably the best in the league, and a game they have to have. Because if Denver messes around, the Chargers aren't relenting. The Denver could go from being a 1 seed and having a bye to being a wild card and being on the road.
You mentioned the circumstances entering this game where there's all to play for Denver and nothing standings-wise to play for the Chiefs. But I thought Chris Jones gave a great answer when he was talking to the media earlier today and talking about the motivation. And he started by talking about, well, anytime you walk into Arrowhead Stadium, you're going to get a lift from the fans. But he talked about the pride and the desire to bring it for, maybe there's a fan going to the Christmas Day game, got the tickets in their stocking. They've never been to a Chiefs game before, and this might be their first one, or it might be some kid's first chance to see him play. And I thought Chris Jones is a guy who's been around the league a long time and has that kind of perspective. How much a part of it do you think that is for these Chiefs to go out. They know it's their last home game, last opportunity to play in front of their fans who've given them so much over this incredible run that they've had over these last 7-8 years. How much of that is about their pride and their desire to have that good showing on their home turf on Christmas night?
There are several I want to mention, and Chris is at the top of the list. His 4th-and-1 play on the quarterback sneak by Cam Ward was awesome. That is a play that seems like not such a big deal, but how he did that was pretty amazing to get a stop on that quarterback sneak. The others, Nick Bolton is the same way. And I love Chris's perspective by saying, what little kid is getting their first ever Chiefs game? And, man, against all odds, because we're throwing rocks at dragons here, but who's going to – hey, there's Chris Jones. How's he going to play? Or here's Nick Bolton. How is he going to play? Bolt was all over the field. He was playing as if it was the Super Bowl. I actually talked with Coach about that today, Coach Reed. And Bolt had another double-digit tackle game, the 22nd of his career. He's second in Chiefs history, only behind Derek Johnson. The other two I'm going to mention are offensive linemen, and it's Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith. Those two guys have been incredible. Trey's back on the field, but they were going to go, we're going to fight. If we're in the Alamo here, we're fighting all the way to the end. And watch us fight, even if we have to be the last two men standing. And they actually gave Chris a chance. And so even though the tackles were down the list here, playing guys from the sophomore game in the state playoffs, we have got and I don't mean that to be demeaning. They just don't have any experience, and now we're going to play these great pass rushers. But those interior three of Sumatia and Humphrey and Trey Smith are fighting like crazy, and I love it. Great example to every athlete watching or listening to say, no matter the circumstances, I'm going to play like that guy, because sometimes you find out mostly about players when it's like this, not necessarily when everybody's just riding the high wave and the high surf.
NFL careers are not long. You don't get a lot of these opportunities to suit up, and you've got a team full of guys who don't seem to be eager to take any one of these for granted.
Nope. That's exactly it, and that's the theme that Andy Reid bashes home. And if people can't, if young guys can't understand it, they get it too late. And so there's so many players that'll say that, and people are like, wow, you're old school. No, I wish I would have done this when I had that opportunity. When you're in the moment, you don't really realize the perspective. And that's why a young player, like the class of 22, I'm going to be, during Raiders Week, I'm just going to focus on those guys because they were way ahead of their years emotionally and mentally. But that's what you want from a young player especially, is that, hey, you're not going to get many chances. And this is one, so get after it. Because you're playing a Denver team that has to have this game. They will be desperate to win.
All right, Mitch, have you got a couple of nuggets of the night to put in our Christmas stockings?
It's going to be around Travis Kelce, because I don't know what Kelce's going to do, but there's a high probability this would be his last home game. That's another reason, if you're coming to just cheer your head off, is when he comes out, is to cheer like crazy. But I figured it up today. I saw him in the locker room, and he just shook his head, kind of laughed. He goes, dude, you're killing me. 12,044 snaps for Travis Kelce, counting the regular season and playoffs. And those are hard snaps, 12,044. The other stat that kind of glossed over us here that I think the Kingdom needs to appreciate is Kelce has 6,143 yards after the catch in his career. That's the most yards after contact by a tight end in NFL history. And so he's soared past everybody else. And some guys who have been in the league longer, like T-Gons, had been in the league longer than he had by 3 years. And then Kels didn't play his first year, really. He was hurt. So when you look at what he's been able to do, if from a standpoint of NFL records and Chiefs records, he's one of one. But to play 12,044 snaps, to me, is remarkable.
Mitch Holthus is the voice of the Kansas City Chiefs and joins us every week throughout the Chiefs season. Thanks to our friends at Hy-Vee, your official tailgate headquarters for Kansas City Chiefs football, and by Azure Credit Union. Contact Crystal Rippey or Naseem Khan about the credit union advantage for your next home loan. Mitch, hope you have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and we will talk to you in 2026.
And same to you and to all of our listeners in the WIBW listening area. I just want everybody to know to be excited because Topeka is really going to feel the impact of these two new facilities in both direct and sublime ways. And as Clark told me today, one of the deals, I don't know if you guys talked about it, but there's going to be some facilities put in place around the state of Kansas. That's part of this deal. And so we're going to see high school athletes all over the state also benefit from what was announced yesterday in Topeka.
Sure looking forward to it. Mitch, thanks again for the time.
Yep. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. That is Mitch Holthus. We'll take a time out here on 580 Sports Talk. When we come back, I want your story about the best gift you ever got for Christmas or for whichever holiday you might celebrate, or just in general, the best gift you ever got when you were a kid. I'll share mine and maybe share the gifts that your local favorite teams gave you in 2025 as we wrap up this final pre-Christmas edition of 580 Sports Talk after this. .45 on 580 Sports Talk. Coming down the home stretch of this Tuesday edition of the show. Again, we are off tomorrow, and we are off on Christmas. We'll be back on Friday for our final show of the year. Crown a What Is Wrong With You champion. Do our year in review. Look forward to doing that with you all on Friday. And then we're taking the next week off. We'll be back Friday, January 2nd, 2026. So hope you'll hang with us and don't freak out too bad when you turn on the radio at 3 o'clock on Monday, the 29th, and you hear a football game, because that's what you'll hear. You will hear some bowl season radio. We got some bowl games coming up for you here in this final stage of 2025, including tonight. Yeah, game tonight, the Frisco Bowl from the Bowl Season Radio Network. They're playing this one at the Star in Frisco, where they had the Big 12 Media Day this year. UNLV and Ohio in the Frisco Bowl tonight. 8 o'clock coverage from Bowl Season Radio. So keep your radios tuned for that. Of course, on Christmas Day, we'll have the Chiefs and the Broncos. We'll also carry the Commanders-Cowboys game earlier in the day from Westwood 1. So a football doubleheader for you on Christmas. Can't carry the middle game because it would conflict with our Chiefs Network obligations. But we'll have the first game of the three on Christmas Day, Washington against Dallas. On Friday, the 26th, we got the First Responder Bowl. That is Florida International versus Texas San Antonio. On Saturday, we'll carry the Military Bowl bright and early. Not bright and early, but 10 a.m. The Military Bowl, that's Pitt against East Carolina. And then we'll have the NFL doubleheader from Westwood 1 on Saturday, the Chargers and the Texans. On Sunday, we'll carry K-State men's basketball against Louisiana Monroe at noon. And then the Sunday night football game, 49ers and Bears at 6:30 from Westwood 1. Monday, the Birmingham Bowl at 1 p.m. Georgia Southern versus App State. And then later that night, Chiefs Kingdom and the Monday Night Football game, Falcons and Rams. On Tuesday the 30th, 1 p.m., the Independence Bowl, Coastal Carolina taking on Louisiana Tech. And on the 31st, New Year's Eve, we'll have K-State women's basketball restarting their Big 12 schedule against Cincinnati at 12:30. So that's a look ahead to what is going to air on the Sports Voice of Kansas while we take a little bit of a break here on 580 Sports Talk. So I put the question to you folks. What was the best gift you ever got as a kid? Obviously asking because it's Christmas, but it doesn't have to be a Christmas gift. You don't celebrate, or if you got a more memorable gift for your birthday or whatever. What was the best gift? The coolest thing you ever got as a kid? I shared my story real quick as we were up against the end of the 4 o'clock hour. But my brother and I were so psyched. We got the PlayStation 2. I cannot remember what year. I think it was 2000. And we got the PS2, maybe 99. I want to say it was 2000. I guess I don't remember. They're kind of blurring together in my advancing age. But we got the PlayStation 2. We were so excited. And then my grandma, God bless her, she got the wrong games. She got us Xbox games. So we had the games we wanted. We had the hockey game, the NHL, EA, NHL, and we had Madden, but they were Xbox games. And that obviously it wasn't going to work. So for whatever reason, Blockbuster Video, remember those? They were open on Christmas. And we went about 10 a.m. to Blockbuster Video. And as I recall it, we drove through some pretty heavy snow to get there. It had snowed in the Denver area that Christmas. And we went to Blockbuster. We rented some games. So we did get to play on the day of before we could then go return the Xbox games, swap them out for PlayStation games. Anyway, that was a big one. I remember it as much for being excited about what we got as I do for the fact that we had to go to Blockbuster on Christmas Day. But anyway, I did put the question to you in the YouTube comments, 5A Sports Talk on YouTube, and on the text line as well, 785-272-9429. I got to scroll back for some of these answers, but do thank for everybody who participated. Jeffrey says, best gifts as a kid, a bike and a baseball glove. Oh, man, those are classic gifts. I always loved getting a new glove. The smell of it, breaking it in. Man, those were great. Let's see. Mark H. throws out maybe a G.I. Joe action figure or maybe some games for the Commodore 64 or Atari. See, we span generations, the audience and yours truly. We got an audience member talking about the Atari and me talking about the PlayStation 2 when I was a kid. Jason in the YouTube comments, He-Man when I was 6 years old, and my wife getting me a 1984 Dan Marino jersey, rookie year. No, I guess not rookie year, year 2, the Super Bowl year, a few years ago. That's a pretty cool one. You ever go, you youngsters out there, and I mean younger than me because I'm not that young. I remember Dan Marino's playing career. But it's nice to get a reminder here and there. If you don't remember Dan Marino's playing career, you go look up. You go watch what that was. You want to talk about ahead of his time. Dan Marino was slinging that thing, man. He was hucking that tater. There wasn't anybody throwing it like him. All due respect to John Elway, who was also doing ahead of his time stuff with the football in the 1980s. You put both of those guys in the league now, they put up some crazy numbers. And because I said something nice about John Elway just now, let me balance the scales a little bit by reminding you that John Elway was never a first-team All-Pro. 2 Super Bowls, 1 Netflix documentary about him that I guess just came out. 0 first-team All-Pros. Never the best quarterback in the league. The year he won MVP, that was bogus. It should have gone to Jerry Rice. He and Montana split the vote that year, and it went accidentally to John Elway. Bothers the heck out of me because it bolsters his case. Because, Bronco fans are going to tell you he's the GOAT. He was awesome. Again, let's be clear. Unbelievable arm. Never a first-team All-Pro, John Elway. Can you believe that? Anyway, Ryan says, my favorite present ever, my 580 Sports Talk friends. Aw, that's sweet, Ryan. Thank you for that. That's sweet. What else we got? in the YouTube comments. Lots of talk about some board games, Lincoln Logs, erector sets. I had both of those when I was a kid. I was more of a Lincoln Log guy. I don't know why. The erector set, that was too involved for me. All the little tools. It was cool. It was just a little too involved for me. Here's a question from the 785. I like this question. Is it worse that John Elway was never first-team All-Pro or that Nolan Ryan never won the Cy Young? That's fascinating. Like, Nolan Ryan was not ahead of his time necessarily. I guess in a sense. Like, everybody throws 100 miles an hour now. So Nolan Ryan wouldn't have maybe stood out the way that he did. It was definitely, like, cool that he pitched when he did. And it was a unique talent when he did play. But Nolan Ryan, absolutely. With our modern understanding of analytics that we have now, Nolan Ryan would have won some Cy Youngs. There were some years that he was probably not as good as his reputation because he walked so many guys, but his best year was probably 1977, but he had a 19-16 record. He lost 16 games for California that year, the Angels. So he only finished third in the Cy Young. Or he was incredible in 1987 with Houston. He led the league in ERA and strikeouts in 1987 with the Astros, but he went 8-16. He might have won the Cy Young that year. He finished fifth in the vote. We don't care about win and loss anymore. We know that's not the pitcher's fault. But no, I think the Nolan Ryan thing is more understandable because we just understand the game better now, and we might have appreciated him a little bit more. Elway never getting first-team All-Pro is just funny. He has an MVP, but not first-team All-Pro. How do you first-team All-Pro over Montana that year? Nonsense. Or MVP over Montana. Montana was first-team All-Pro. Nonsense. Nonsense, I tell you. We got to take a break. Final word is next to 580 Sports Talk. Time to wrap up this edition of 580 Sports Talk, our penultimate edition of the show for the year, our final show before Christmas. We are off tomorrow for Christmas Eve. We are off for the holiday. We are back on Friday to wrap up the calendar year 2025. We got a lot of gifts this year covering sports in this area. We got the gift of another Super Bowl appearance for the Kansas City Chiefs, the gift of watching Bobby Witt Jr. play every day and Salvador Perez break out another 30 home run season. We got the gift of seeing K-State get the football coach that they have dreamed of for so long in Colin Klein, the prodigal son returning home. We got, hopefully, eventually, the promise of, at least, a generational Kansas Jayhawk basketball talent in Darren Peterson. Certainly hope we get to see him on the floor much more in 2026. We got the news that the Chiefs are moving to Kansas. We got a lot of gifts from our local sports teams this year, and hope you enjoyed living all of those through us on 580 Sports Talk this year. And I certainly hope that each and every one of you listening has a very, very enjoyable and Merry Christmas on Thursday. We'll be back on Friday. Have a great holiday, everyone. For Brendan Dworzinski, I'm Dan Lucero. This has been 580 Sports Talk. Good night. Merry Christmas.